Hey, can y'all hear me? Yeah? Okay. I've got some little notification pop up that said my microphone wasn't working. All right. If everybody wants to go ahead and mute out so we have background noise under control. I'm going to give one more minute for everybody to hop on. Okay, I'm going to get started. People can just hop on as we go. For the record, this is Elevate Week 3, and the topic is caring for customers and product training. So when I got into doing this, kind of writing all my notes out and stuff and thinking through this, what I found was really what we needed to do was probably back up and do some product training, because what I find a lot of times is that I just naturally assume everyone knows product, and sometimes there's ins and outs. You can listen to a product call, and I will post a recent product call that I did, but sometimes you just need to kind of hear it over and over to really learn the product. And then once you know the product, you feel more confident approaching people about it or answering people's questions or whatever. So I'm going to go through basic product training first. Tonight might be a little bit longer, so if you need to hop off, I am recording it and I can always replay it. But the way that I do product training, if I'm presenting at a BBL or any kind of event, I always start with green. And so my color is green, purple, yellow, blue. And the reason behind that is that, of course, we always say all roads lead to blue. And so the doctors have recognized that you may have some other issues, that maybe medical issues kind of, that need to be diagnosed and taken care of before you can move on to the anti-aging line. And so those naturally would be sensitivity, irritation, acne, any kind of active acne, or sun damage. And so the idea behind going in that order is let's take care of those things before we move on to blue, the redefined. So starting with Soothe, one other thing I wanted to tell y'all is when I first started learning product stuff, I wanted to know every ingredient. And I thought it was so fascinating how this ingredient built on this ingredient, but that's just my medical brain. People do not care about that, okay? So when you're talking to a customer, the things you're going to want to say is Soothe is our regimen for redness, irritation, sensitive skin. They're not going to want to know the ins and outs. I'm going to give you some ins and outs just so you'll feel more knowledgeable. But basically what they want to know is how does it feel, how does it smell, and what's it going to do to my skin? What are the results going to be? Okay, so that's kind of all your responsibility is. But there are a few kind of key points I think that are like sellers that help. So it is our regimen for sensitive skin. The way that you can remember that is think about green being aloe vera, and aloe vera is soothing to a sunburn. So green is soothing. The kind of tagline for this, well, first of all, 70% of people experience sensitive skin sometime in their life. And so that was one of the reasons when I'm presenting, I talk about how the doctors are still practicing in their office, and what they realized is that they were seeing patients over and over for the same main reasons, and one of that could be treated outside of the doctor's office. And one of those main reasons was sensitive skin, and up to 70% of people at some point in their life will have sensitive skin. So your kind of tagline, what you would say to people when you're selling this regimen or talking about it, is that it helps reduce visible signs. You cannot say it treats, you cannot say it fixes, solves, whatever, eczema, rosacea, redness, irritation. So you want to say it helps reduce visible signs of sensitivity, redness, peeling, dryness, or chapped skin. So again, things you can't say is you can't say it treats eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, but you want to just address those issues, and you can say it can reduces the appearance of redness with eczema, it reduces the appearance of irritation associated with rosacea. So just make sure you're kind of careful with your language there. All right, so 3 steps at night, 4 steps in the morning. Number 1 is a gentle cream wash. In a gentle cream wash, this one basically sweeps away skin impurities without using really harsh ingredients. And some things I'm going to like sprinkle in here and there are questions that you're going to get commonly from your preferred customers. And so those are things I just want you to kind of, I'm going to tell you so you might know. So when they get the whatever, the instruction sheet that comes along with this regimen, it does tell them that an option is to leave the cream wash on, which is so bizarre to me. Like, why would you wash your face and leave the wash on? But it does say something about like if they're really dry or really red or irritated, that you can leave the wash on. So one of the first questions or complaints that you're going to get about Soothe is it feels too thick, like I'm putting too many layers on top of my face, or I'm breaking out with it. Breaking out is probably the first one I get. And the first thing I always say is you're not rinsing the face wash well enough. So just know that if you hear from a Soothe customer in a week or two, it feels too thick or they're breaking out, make sure that they're using, instead of just using, because it is such a gentle cream wash, I think it's harder to rinse off. And so make sure they're using a washcloth to once they massage it on their face, get a washcloth to actually get some kind of really good rinse. Okay. So step 2 is sensitive skin treatment. And when I'm presenting, I always say, every single regimen has kind of an active agent or like a power partner, or there's like one kind of good bang for your buck in each regimen. And with Soothe, it's going to be number 2, the sensitive skin treatment. And we like to joke that that's first aid in a bottle. And so it will treat basically any kind of irritation on your skin, mosquito bite, sunburn, anything that can be irritating at all, you can use that. So you can always say, moms, we think everybody should have a bottle of this in their diaper bag, in their purse. But the way that it works is it has a very special technology. Again, this is not stuff you're going to have to say and learn and repeat, but it's just nice to kind of know. So it has this special technology called RFP3. And it's a peptide technology that actually binds moisture to your skin. And so it kind of, that's how it helps with the water, is it binds the moisture to the skin, and it will heal the visible signs of dry, sensitive skin. It also has these optical filters, which are basically things that are in the treatment. When you put them on their face, it helps attract the sunlight and reflect it, so that it reduces the redness just by reflecting kind of light away from the redness. Some active ingredients are dimethicone and allantoin, and they bind water to the surface. And it can also alleviate minor cuts, burns, scrapes, whatever. Step 3 is a moisture replenishing cream. And tell people for step 2, a tiny little bit goes a really long way. I mean, we're talking like less than a pea size would cover their whole face easily. And then you really want that to dry completely before you go with step 3. Okay. Step 3 is the moisture replenishing cream. It has RF, radiant and field cold fission technology, whatever that is. Dr. Fella, I'm sure, dreamed it up in the lab, but it replenishes the skin's natural moisture. So it kind of attracts humidity and replenishes your skin's natural moisture. And then step 4, and just talk about how the dermatologists are really big on sunscreen. So if they're, obviously, they want to protect your skin from the sun, but especially if you're working on fixing different issues, you're going to want to protect, the fact that you're fixing issues. You don't want to step backwards with sun damage. Okay, so this one's a mineral sunscreen. And what a mineral sunscreen does is it deflects the sun rays. So instead of absorbing into the skin, it actually is just going to deflect the UVA and UVB rays. It's things that you're going to want to tell people. It's lightweight. It goes on great under makeup, or makeup goes great on top of it. It is SPF 30. It's water resistant for 80 minutes. So they do have to reapply probably every hour, hour and a half. The goal with this regimen is to decrease sensitivity so that eventually they can build up a tolerance to other products. So sensitive skin tends to be very thin skin. And the hope with this regimen is that after they use it for several rounds, that they will have built up that top layer of skin that will be less sensitive, and they can move on to other regimens. All right, blemish. The first thing I always address when I am presenting about this is like, why did they do acne again? They nailed the acne market. I mean, they made billions with Proactiv. So why did they do it again? Well, they realized that adult onset acne is different than teenage acne. And so I kind of distinguish, teenage acne might be really surfacey, whiteheads, blackheads, stuff they can scratch off and it's gone. Whereas hormonal acne tends to be more on a cycle, once a month. They may break out. They may be really really hard, big knots or cystic acne that take forever to heal. Okay. So this will treat both. It is really great for both, but it's designed for that more cystic acne. But again, I have tons of teenagers on it that are doing great with it. All right, so your kind of tagline for this regimen is it clears pores, it eliminates bacteria, and things that we just want to tell when you begin to present. I can't remember if I said this. I already said it once today. McKenna's, I can't remember what I said where. You talk about multi-med therapy because people don't realize that, when they see products in the grocery store, it's kind of like things are just thrown together and who knows if those work together or not. Whereas our doctors have perfected that. And so step 1 truly does prep your skin for step 2. And then step 2 truly preps your skin to be able to absorb the next ingredient. And so that's why they're done in steps. And that's why that's the purpose behind the multi-med therapy. So with Unblemished, it's genius how they work it. The first step eliminates bacteria, okay? So it's a sulfur wash, and the first thing you're going to hear people say is, wait, I'm allergic to sulfa. Not sulfa, not the drug sulfamethoxazole. That's an antibiotic. Sulfur, think about like periodic chart, okay? So it's like an element in the periodic chart. What they found with sulfur is that it's antibacterial, and a key component in the acne cycle is bacteria. So this is a wash, a 3% sulfur wash, and what it does is it penetrates the pores and starts clearing them out. Think about it as Drano for your pores. That's a picture I always give people. Like, think about Drano for your pores, pulling all the impurities out. So first of all, we're getting antibacterial in there, and it's draining the pores so that we're prepping for the very next ingredient. So the clarifying toner is alcohol free. And I think that that's so important because majority of toners over the counter are alcohol based. And so if you think about an acne person tends to be pretty oily. Okay. So if you're going to go use an alcohol toner on somebody that's oily, it dries the skin out, which a lot of people like. Well, then the skin thinks it's dry. So it naturally produces more oil to replace that dry skin. So you're in a cycle of dry skin because of the alcohol toner, more oil, more acne. Okay, so this toner's alcohol free, and it cleans the pores out even further, which is prepping, kind of having open, empty pores is prepping for the power partner or the active ingredient in this step. And that one is step 3, which is the dual intensive acne treatment. So if you were to go to the dermatologist, the very first thing that they'd usually try for acne is benzoyl peroxide. And so they send you home with this tube of benzoyl peroxide. You start applying it, and the very first thing that happens is you get super dried out, really red. You start peeling. So not only do you have acne, but now it's like red and peely and just looks awful. So people stop using it. So there's not any good compliance. And so the doctors knew this because they'd been treating acne so much in their office. So what they did is actually a lesser percentage of benzoyl peroxide, 2.5%, and I believe that it's up to 5% that's allowed to be over the counter. So it is you'll get this question, why is it less than what I can get over the counter? So 2.5% benzoyl peroxide, and it's in one side of the tube. This is that dual pump. And then the other side is a delivery gel. So it's a delivery gel that almost acts like a slip and slide and actually gets the product into your pores deeper. So that's how they can get away with it being less of a percentage, is because we're actually getting in, and it's not just sitting on top of your skin. The delivery gel is actually getting deeper into the pores. The other portion of that delivery gel is that it's moisturizing. And so it's got lavender and chamomile in it, and that actually combats. So if you have people, that's another problem I've had come up, is people allergic to lavender, and they will truly break out in hives on their face. But the lavender and the chamomile combats that redness and irritation and peeling and all that. And so that's why we get such a good response with that dual pump. And then the last part, the oil control lotion, I think this is super cool to understand, is that, again, acne people are oily, right? So this is an SPF 20. It's a little bit SPF, so it's not just a ton of oil and grease sunscreen, but it's time released. And so that's why it combats your oil so much, is it has a component that time releases for 12 hours, and you can wear it under your makeup. And I can tell a huge difference on the days that I use it and don't use it, just kind of like an oily underneath my makeup. Things you're going to need to tell people with this regimen, and I always try to tell them this when I check back in. So if you sign somebody up, and we're going to go over this in a minute, when you check back in with them the first or the second time and they're starting to see results and they're getting really excited, I try to always be, I'm so excited for you, but I do want to warn you, heads up, it is entirely possible you're going to experience a second breakout. So because the products are working so good at draining the pores, there is some impurities under the surface that they're going to have to kind of work out and drain. So I always try to say, around week 4, week 4, week 5, you may get a second breakout. Please don't get discouraged. It doesn't mean the product's not working. It actually means the product is working, and you need to just power through. And by week 8, you hope that they're seeing great results. Some really bad teenage cases will take more like week 12. What else? Okay, that's really it. Moving on to reverse. Best way to remember this is that it's yellow. Think about the sun, and so it's the regimen to combat the sun damage. We now have 2 reverse regimens, and so I'm going to talk about the brightening regimen first, which if you ever hear somebody refer to it as the old reverse or the original reverse, that was brightening, so reverse brightening. So this regimen is for skin dullness, uneven tone, dark spots, brown marks, freckles, any of that. It starts with, well, first of all, 80%, I found this the other day, I thought it was so interesting, 80% of your skin's aged appearance, so the reason 80% of kind of our aging signs, the wrinkles and stuff, is due to the sun. All right, so it starts with a deep exfoliating wash, and what's in that is an alpha hydroxy acid, which basically like turns the skin over faster, and these little tiny beads, exfoliating beads, which I think this is so smart. So most exfoliators are made of like sand and broken seashell, and I don't even know what else they put in exfoliators, but that typically tears the skin, and so when the skin tears, it's a really easy way to introduce bacteria, and it's just damaging to the skin. So they made these beads, and they're not the beads that got like recalled off the market, because we did have to give back some of our products for that. But they're these beads that actually, they're shaped to where they roll in and out of the pores, okay? So instead of ripping the skin and tearing the skin, they're actually shaped at some kind of cone, something shaped, but they roll in and out of the pores. And so when they do that, they're exfoliating the pores by kind of gently rolling in and out without tearing the skin. So when you're talking about caring for skin long-term and anti-aging properties, a key component to that is exfoliation. And think about, I give lots of examples when I'm presenting. So if you think about a yard that is full of leaves, and you want to go water that yard and put tons of fertilizer on it, it's going to just kind of sit on the very top of those leaves, okay? If you were to rake the yard first, move all the dead leaves out, and then do your water and your fertilizer, then it's going to soak down and you're going to have great new growth, okay? Same thing with our skin. We have, your skin turns over so many times so many days or whatever like that, your skin cell life. And so a lot of times you have dead skin sitting just right on top of your face. And so the idea behind exfoliating is to brush away all that dead skin, so that your next product, think about it as like the water or the fertilizer, is actually going to penetrate on fresh skin so you can see fresh growth. So I always give that example when I'm talking about this wash or when I'm talking about the microdermabrasion paste. And so in this regimen, exfoliating the skin is prepping your skin for the next step of active ingredients, okay? Step 2 in this one is an intensive brightening toner. It uses kojic acid and salicylic acid, which tend to exfoliate even further by turning the skin over quicker. And it actually will brighten the skin and even out your tone. Step 3 is the active ingredient for this one, and that is the dual active brightening complex. It comes in 2 separate tubes, and one will say 3C and then one will say 3R, okay? One tube is your vitamin C, and one tube is your retinol. And what the doctors found is that those 2 components are key components in anti-aging, tons of anti-aging products. What they found is that when they're actually packaged together, they're inactive. And so again, genius, they put them in 2 separate tubes, which nobody else has ever done. They put them in 2 separate tubes, and what you do is like a pea-size amount on the back of your hand of each tube, and then you mix it, and right then is when it's in its most active state. So for about 20 minutes, that's when you apply it, and that's when it's in its most active state and starts working. That is mixed together, applied immediately, and helps brighten skin and diminish fine lines. Things to know about retinol is that it basically turns your skin over faster, so it increases that cell proliferation, just kind of gives you fresh new skin all the time, and that helps with wrinkles. And retinol also helps your body kind of promote its own collagen, which is wrinkle plumping property that we tend to lose over time. And then vitamin C is moisturizing and brightening. So those 2 power partners together work miracles, right? The SPF with this one is SPF 50. Obviously, you don't want to undo any progress that you're making against sun damage. It also has vitamin E, green tea, licorice extract, all kinds of things that are actually used to brighten skin. Again, tell people with that SPF that it is not crazy greasy. It's not a real heavy sunscreeny smell. That's actually acne-prone people, that's what they can use if they're going to be lake or beach or something high, and they need something more than the SPF 20. Okay, the lightening regimen. So now this regimen is for more stubborn dark marks or dark patches. In particular, things like melasma when women have been pregnant and they get the maybe the brown patch across their lip or big patches on their forehead. So this regimen, anybody that has bigger, a lot of women call them age spots, but hormonal patches, you're going to want to start with this regimen. Honestly, you're never wrong to do this regimen. I feel like no one ever really knows, like, when do I use this regimen versus the other one? You're not really wrong to do this regimen ever, unless you're pregnant or nursing. So reverse lightening cannot be used pregnant or nursing, okay? The key component in it, the difference in this one is only step 2 and step 3, okay? So it's going to have the exact same wash that we just went over. And then step 2 and 3 both have an ingredient called hydroquinone, 2% hydroquinone. That is the ingredient that is kind of the bleach agent. I don't like to use the word bleach agent just because I don't want people to like freak out, think that it's actually bleach, but you can just say that's our active lightening ingredient. So that ingredient would be both in the toner, and step 3 for this one is just 1 bottle of the 2% hydroquinone. And so they will see a quicker lightening of any kind of brown spots. And a lot of people would like to do that round maybe once or even twice, and then you cannot roll with reverse lightening. Let me say this, you're not supposed to roll with reverse lightening because it's got such active ingredients. I have done it before I realized that, and I did have a lot of burning before I knew that you weren't supposed to do that. But what a lot of people will like to do is start with lightening until they feel like they get the real dark spots starting to fade, and then you could move over to brightening with the roller. All right, all roads lead to blue. Last regimen, Redefine. It is for things you would say to people is reduces the appearance of fine lines, pores, loss of firmness is a big deal with older people that I didn't realize is like the skin will actually kind of like lose firmness and start to sag. It effectively minimizes appearance of pores. Big pores tends to be a concern with aging. It improves skin elasticity. All right, so it starts with a daily cleansing mask, and it's a kaolin clay mask. It dries in about 2 minutes, and the thing behind that is that it kind of clears out impurities. So as it dries, you actually feel your skin kind of tightening with it, but it pulls out impurities from the pores. It has a really fine granulated exfoliator in it. The beads are similar to what's in reverse, just not as much, so that when you go to rinse off, they will actually gently exfoliate just a little. Step 2 is kind of what everybody loves, but it's the pore minimizing toner, and so it actually works to shrink your pores. We joke that that is Spanx for your face, so kind of give people a visual about Spanx for your face. It's going to like kind of tighten up the elasticity and everything. It has polyhydroxy acids that exfoliate dead skin and help unclog pores. All right, step 3. Now, you want to sell this regimen with the roller. That's the hope. And so this is usually where I go ahead and talk about the roller. And the AmpMD roller is a roller that boosts 192 stainless steel surgical grade needles. And it sounds terrible, so when I'm talking about it, I just always say, I know this sounds awful, bear with me, and then we can pass it around and you can feel it or whatever. But it works in 2 ways, okay? So you need to give people a visual behind this. The first way it works is that you're going to roll it on your face, obviously, in different start with your forehead and go horizontal, and then you go vertical, and then you go diagonal. And if you're rolling for more than a minute, it's too much. So the entire rolling should just take 1 minute. And you're going to do this with either reverse or redefine after you tone. So while your toner is still damp is when you roll, okay? So the first way it works is it actually is poking tiny channels into your skin. So yes, it's poking little tiny holes. So picture a pan of brownies, and if you take some caramel and you pour caramel on top of those brownies, they're going to be awesome. But what if you took a fork and you poked a million little holes in those brownies, and then you poured the caramel? How that caramel would like seep down into all the holes? Okay, those are some amazing brownies. That's the idea here. So as you're rolling, you're poking these teeny tiny little channels so that then when you put on the next ingredient, the caramel, it's going to actually seep down in between those little tiny channels that you've just created. The second way it works is actually by tricking your skin into thinking that you've had an injury. So when we naturally injure our body, things that happen are red blood cells, white blood cells rush to the surface to kind of heal the wound, and then your body in response to an injury releases collagen and elastin. Collagen and elastin is what we lose over time in aging. Okay, so you're tricking your body to thinking it's been injured so that it naturally releases all of those healing properties. Okay. After you roll, you would put on night renewing serum, and that's the little blue capsule, and Oprah calls it her nightcap. She actually gave it away one year at her like favorite things party or whatever. And ours is different. Again, this is one of those things that's not going to be a super high percentage. You could probably get higher percentage over the counter. But with retinol, the first thing people complain about is peeling, and they start peeling right away, and so they stop using it. So this retinol is a lower percentage. I actually don't have it written down. Hang on. I don't have it written down, but I just know it's a little bit of a lower percentage. And the way that they make it special is that it's vacuum suctioned. And so when they vacuum suction that, it actually becomes a higher concentration because of the way that it's vacuum suctioned. And it goes on like a really fine gel and actually turns into a powder, and that powder is time released. So after you roll and you put on this little tiny gel that turns into a powder, it's going to time release its retinol all night long, okay? What does that retinol do again? It turns over the cell rate so that your fresh skin's coming to the surface all the time, and it prompts your body to release collagen. All right, so after you have that on, that's like the caramel going in deep into the brownies. You want to seal all that up with some saran wrap. So that would be your PM cream. And your PM cream is packed with peptides. And peptides work in a million different ways. I had to look that up and read about them. But they help your body promote or release its own properties like the collagen and the elastin. They're packed with tons of antioxidants, and the overnight cream is actually time released as well. It's a 12-hour time release antioxidants of vitamin A and C and E, and so it's just all it's like packed with every anti-aging ingredient possible. In the morning, you would not roll, and you would just use your AM cream, which is your SPF 30. All right, one other thing I want to cover is Lash Boost. And I should probably cover hydration serum. I just don't feel super good on that yet. But all right, Lash Boost. Again, the doctors use multi-med therapy. So they know that you've got to attack a problem 3 different ways. And the way that they do this is it's a nightly conditioning serum for your lashes, and it has 3 main ingredients that do 3 different things: biotin, keratin, and hyaluronase. Okay? Biotin and keratin both work to strengthen the hair shaft. So the individual, think about your lashes, the individual hair shaft, they're trying to strengthen them so that they appear thicker and longer. Okay. My theory behind this is that when they're strengthening your lashes, your lashes, kind of like the hair on your head, has a life cycle. And so like your lashes, I don't even know what it is, but however many days each lash lasts before it falls out. I think the idea behind Lash Boost is it's strengthening them and moisturizing them so much that life cycle is longer. Okay. So you have fresh eyelashes coming in and you're still holding on to your old ones. And then hyaluronase, super weird, is a fluid that is in your knee joint. I'm sure y'all really all needed to know that tonight. But it's so super moisturizing that they've started using it in a lot of skincare regimens. So that's your extra agent in there. Biotin, keratin, hyaluronase. Moisturizes and strengthens. Things that you can say, obviously, are longer, darker, thicker appearing lashes. We cannot claim it makes your lashes longer. It makes your lashes darker. Just make sure you always use that word appearing. Okay. Let me see if I can talk about active hydration serum off the cuff here. So what I understood about it, and I need to go back and watch, and if y'all, anytime you want to learn more about something on YouTube, Dr. Fala, there's videos that are like in the lab with Dr. Tim or in the lab with Dr. Fala. He's kind of our like scientist geek. His videos are really good for learning stuff. And I actually attach them to a lot of emails to customers and send them anytime I'm sending more information. But from what I understand for that, active hydration serum is it makes your skin act younger. Okay. So it's sort of like returning it to what your skin used to be like when you were younger. It attracts humidity to the skin and kind of binds that moisture to the skin. The active ingredient is glycerin. And over the counter, and I may have these numbers wrong, so y'all are going to want to double check me, but over the counter, all other products, I think, have a very low percentage glycerin. And so what he was able to do, because what happens when you increase the glycerin in a product, it makes it really sticky. So almost like a tacky, sticky feel. And they found a way to do that, whatever that new molecule is that he talks about. And what it does basically is you can increase the glycerin really high without the sticky component to it. So our glycerin, I believe, is 30%. And that's apparently like way higher than anything else on the market. It is used after, let me think through this. I'm going to have to find a picture posted for you guys for when it's used in each regimen. After step 2, is that right? Okay, so like when you roll, I was trying to think of the ones when you roll. I know it's used right after you roll. And so if you, Melanie, do you know? I'll let you unmute and just say it because you're
probably. Sorry. It's used before the active power partner in every regimen. So in all the would be after step 2, except for Soothe, it's before step 2.
Okay, that makes sense.
When you roll, you're supposed to roll, then active hydration, then night serum.
Yes. Okay. Same thing with Unblemish is because I'm rolling parts of my face with Unblemish. You would do step 1, step 2, active hydration serum, and then step 3. But hopefully we can find some pictures for that, and hopefully that's something that you would send your customer once you know which regimen they're using and stuff. So anyways, that I originally thought that this was going to be for people that were just super dry and have a lot of dry patches, and people that are super dry are very happy with it so far. But it's designed to actually balance your skin's natural moisture. And so for people that are oily or acne prone, like I kind of was like, I don't think I'm going to like this. I'm not going to want to use it. But it actually can balance out your oiliness too. So that helps people. The pictures I have seen is that it boosts every regimen in a different way. And so you can help people not be shy or scared away from it, explaining it that way. All right, so that's it. I'm sorry, y'all. I know that was so much information, but that's it for product training. Hopefully, once you understand products better. One thing I didn't tell y'all about, as always, they're going to get an insert when their regimen comes, and I just always, in my email, which I'm going to tell you about in just a minute, I always encourage them to refer to the insert that comes inside your regimen, and it will help you. It will tell you how to ease into the product so it's not too much for your skin all at one time as your skin adjusts. Complaints that you'll get, I forgot to add these in, with Unblemish is dryness. That's the number one complaint that I always get. And what I'm about to tell you is probably not Rodian and Fields endorsed. But if they are crazy dry, obviously you would want them to buy Active Hydration Serum or even step 3 of Soothe, the moisture replenishing cream. I have a really hard time when somebody has just spent $180 on a regimen and now they're really dry and they're coming back and saying, I'm really dry. I have a hard time turning around saying, oh, you need to spend another $100 in Rodian & Fields products. So what I have found to work best is over-the-counter CeraVe, which is just it's a time-release lotion that is super gentle, and they do make a face one. I have found that to work best after step 3. And they usually only need it for a week or two, just while their skin's adjusting, and then they can go to just using the Rodian & Fields products. But I can't stand, somebody buying a product and then turn around being like, oh, well, you need to spend more money on this Active Hydration Serum or whatever. From Reverse, one of the main complaints that you'll get is burning. And again, just kind of talk them into it. That does go away as your skin adjusts. It goes away, and they just need to ease into it. And then with Redefine, a lot of times you'll get some complaints about breaking out. And sometimes it's the PM cream. The PM cream tends to be a little bit too heavy. Oh, other things I wanted to tell you that go well with the Unblemished regimen, if people are seeing some improvement, but they would really like better improvement, micropaste is key with the Unblemished regimen because it does exfoliate really well and kind of helps with that cycle of acne. And then night renewing serum is amazing along with the Unblemished. So you would use the 3 steps, and then at night you would add the night renewing serum, and that helps turn over the acne quicker. Okay. All right. So let's move on to talking about caring for our customers. I have several different steps, but what I wanted to do, I was like, how can I give this information best? And I think the best thing is let's walk through what happens when you post on Facebook and someone wants information. Okay. So let's say you post a before and after picture on Facebook and someone messages you, hey, they're interested in that regimen or that whatever that person was in that picture. Okay. The very first thing that I do, and this is just what works for me. You may hear different opinions from different leaders and different level 5 leaders or RFX, but this is just what I've been doing in my personal business for 3 years. So the very first thing I do when someone messages me and says, hey, I'm interested in that, I respond with a picture. Respond with more pictures, because the before and after picture is what caught their attention. Okay. So if they message and say, hey, I'm interested in that Unblemished, I will usually respond back, oh my goodness, it is the regimen that saved my skin. I'm such a strong believer. Attach 2 or 3 pictures. Okay. Because you're already doing convincing without having to say much. And then the second thing I'll do is say, I would love for you to take my solution tool so I can just make sure that this regimen is right for you, because it never fails. Somebody's going to see a Redefine before and after and think that it's amazing. And then, but they're like, didn't mention that they have active acne or something. So the solution tool will tease that out for you. And if they need to do a round or 2 of Unblemished or Soothe first, the solution tool is going to figure that out. You don't have to kind of be the brain behind it. So I'll send them the link to my solution tool. And what I typically say, so when they get to the end of the solution tool, it does give them an option to email it to you. I feel like that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. So I always say, will you take a picture, screenshot your results, and send them back to me? Okay. And that should all take like 2 minutes if the person, is hanging with you. Once you know what they have, then again, sometimes I respond again with a picture. So I usually say, okay, your results showed me that you need Redefine. Oh, that's one of my favorite regimens, whatever. here's my mom's recent pictures from Redefine. How can I get more information to you? Do you do better on the phone or with email? And you'll kind of find, and I got in trouble one time for saying this about generations, but I find that the older generations, my mom's age, they want you to call them. They want you to pick up the phone and call and explain it. They can't read, they don't even know how to check their email, or they can't read through an email, whatever. Younger generations would prefer to literally text or email the entire thing. And I have done entire orders through text and email, and that's just kind of more younger generation's preference. Okay. So I usually ask them, what's a better way to get you some more information? Would you like me to find a time to call you or email? And most people will say, yeah, whether you talk me through it or email's better. So if you're going to send an email of information, I have all of those emails. There's no reason to recreate the wheel unless you just want to. And so I'll post those. It may take me a day or two this week, but sometime this week I will post all of this information on Elevate team page. Okay. And they're just what my basic emails are that I send. And so I usually sort of briefly explain the regimen and what it does. I used to attach a link. We used to have these flyers that were like amazing information that showed the clinical trials and stuff, and they're being recreated right now. So I usually attach a link to my webpage so they can actually see what the bottles look like, the sizes and stuff like that. And then I explain PC perks in the email. And so that's one thing that I wanted to do tonight to you guys, just to make sure that you feel like you have the best language to explain PC perks. So I will typically, when I'm talking to somebody about a preferred customer, sometimes I don't even give them the option. I mean, honestly, my feeling on it is there's not an option for any other way to order other than preferred customer. Okay. So if someone wants to do retail that goes in your 100 bucket, you do not make as much money on it. There's just no reason for it. So if someone is hell bent that they are not going to do a retail order, then what I would ask them to do is to pay you, and you order it under one of your preferred customer accounts. Okay. One of your husband's account or your dummy account. Okay. But the way I explain it is I just always say, I know this sounds like a gimmick. Trust me, because I want to say up front, like what I'm about to say is going to sound gimmicky, because it does, but it is a one-time $20 charge. Not once a month. These are the questions I get. Is it once a month? Is it once a year? Is there a renewal? No, one time ever. $20 charge that gives you preferred customer loyalty. And what that does is basically on every single order from here on out, you will get 10% off and free shipping. And then what you need to do is break that down for them in this purchase, okay? So let's just say these are not the right numbers, but let's just say tonight you want to buy the $200 Redefine regimen, right? If you buy that at retail, it's going to be $200 plus tax plus $12 to $15 of shipping. If you do preferred customer, yes, there's going to be an additional $20 charge tonight, but you will save 10%, which automatically knocks that regimen down to $180. So you've already saved your $20, right? And then you're going to save the $12 or $15 on shipping. So you've saved $35 on that regimen. So just break it down for them so they see how worth it is. The very next thing that they're going to want to know is, am I going to get automatic shipments? Am I on an auto ship? Don't ever use the word auto ship. It freaks people out, okay? So what I typically will say is, yes, it gives you 10% off and free shipping, and then it gives you a refill opportunity, tends to be the word I use. Refill opportunity every 2 months. You do not ever have to order again. You're not obligated. You're not going to get automatic shipments. And it's just a refill opportunity. So what we tend to find is that these regimens are designed to last 2 months. Nobody runs out in 2 months. They usually last 3 to 4 months. And then let's say in 3 to 4 months that you're out of your lotion or your toner. Okay, that's all you have to order. You're never going to spend this entire amount again on a full regimen. Okay, so people feel a lot better about the price too. Like, okay, I know that this is a big price up front, but from here on out, I'm just going to buy the pieces I need when I need it. And so I typically will give the example of Proactiv. You know, if you ever, because a ton of people have used Proactiv. So I'll give the example of Proactiv and say, if you were ever signed up for Proactiv, it just showed up on your doorstep. Every month it showed up on your doorstep, whether or not you needed it or wanted it. I always had 10 face washes and never enough toner, or too much toner and no lotion. You don't ever have the pieces you need when you need. So our program is very flexible. It's very different. If in 2 months you don't need anything, I will delay your account. If in 2.5 months you decided you need your face wash, I'll order your face wash for you, okay? Now, sometimes I feel like I'm being a little dishonest here because I don't throw this in when I probably should. But in order for them to get free shipping, their order has to be $80. Now, they'll always get 10% off, okay? So it never fails. In 2 months, I text somebody, are you out of anything? No delay. The next month, do you need anything? Yes, I just need my face wash. Okay, that's $38. So now what do you do? So I will typically text back. This is too much information to tell on the front end, and so I just deal with it later. So I'll typically text back and say, great, you'll get 10% off that, but free shipping starts at $80. Would you like to add anything else to get your free shipping? And that's the easiest way to deal with it. Some people feel like they need to know that up front, but I feel like it's too much information. I've never had any trouble. So that's how I explain PC Perks. Now, things you need to know about PC Perks. It can be delayed out as many times, as many months, as long as you want. I have a girl right now that's pregnant. She wanted hers delayed out 9 months. And you can go into the account and it will only give you a 2-month option. It will give you to delay 1 month or delay 2 months. And so you delay 2 months, go back up to her main page, hit my account again, you can delay another 2 months. So you just keep getting back into her account and delaying it. I do feel like it's best. This is up to everybody's individual preference. I do feel like it is best to manage your preferred customers' accounts to the best of your ability. I manage all of mine. I think I have like 64 preferred customers right now. And yes, it's a job to manage them, but I also think it's why I keep so many customers. And so what that looks like when you get a customer, and a lot of times it's easy to say that when you're selling preferred customer, when you're saying, hey, I know this sounds like a gimmick, but here's what I want you to learn about it. I will manage your account, so nothing is going to ship without your permission. You may get an email from corporate saying, oh, you're about to ship or something like that. And if you haven't heard from me by the time you get that email, touch base with me. Don't get into your account and do anything, but just touch base with me, okay? And so what I mean by that is when I place their order, I always write down when their next ship date is. And so that's another important thing that I want to tell y'all about. If they order on the 1st through the 20th, then their refill date will be 2 months from the order. So let's just go with, if you order on June 5th, your refill date is going to be August 5th. Now, that's true June 1st through June 20th, okay? Then your date would be August 20th. If you order after the 20th, your date is automatically moved up to the 20th. So no PC Perks orders ship on the 21st through the end of the month. So let's say you order on June 25th, automatically moves to the 20th, so your refill date is August 20th. I did not know this. I had a huge freak out moment when I first started, and somebody ordered on the 24th. And so I assumed that the refill date was on the 24th. And she texted me and said, hey, I got my package. And I was like, it's not even your refill date. And so I called corporate, and that's what they explained to me. I also want to explain what an ad hoc order is. So an ad hoc order, let's say that you contact someone and they're like, nope, I don't need anything, delay it out, okay? 2 weeks later, they text you, oh, I changed my mind, I really do need something. Well, you've already delayed that PC Perks shipment out. You can't undo that. So what you can do is log into their account, and then you just shop now. And this is a pretty new feature, which is amazing. We used to have to call and jump through hoops for this, but you just shop now, put what they need in their cart. As long as it's $80 or more, you've got the 10% off and the free shipping, and then you just check out. The ad hoc order just basically means it's just in addition to, it's just an extra. It doesn't change your ship date, your PC Perks refill date, okay? So when you delayed that PC Perks refill date earlier in the month, that it's still there, okay? It never fails. I have people that are due to ship on the 20th of this month, and they'll text me on the 5th, like, hey, I'm ready for stuff. And so don't forget, like, if you go ahead and place an ad hoc order, don't forget they still have that ship date on the 20th, and you've got to delay it, okay? All right, what else? Let me think. let me let you guys, if anybody does anybody have questions? Do y'all want to unmute and ask any questions right now while I'm thinking about what else I need to?
I have a question, Molly.
Yeah.
So we have, we're kind of getting into that cycle where our PCs are now starting to order their second and third rounds of things, and they're not ordering their original, like what they originally ordered. Would you just keep continuously like delaying and doing ad hoc orders? Because I hate to make them wait. It never fails that they send me a message way before it's time to process their like replenishment or whatever. So I don't change their replenishment. I just do an ad hoc order. And so would you leave that? Or
I would just order. I would order when they're ready. If they text you and they're ready to order, go ahead and order, and then just make sure that you delay that replenishment date, because they probably won't need anything. And so then I just go in and delay it.
Okay. So they're leaving like the original order that they had as their auto replenish, and just keep delaying that and just ordering what they want as an ad hoc.
Yes, that's totally fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else? Any other questions so far? Okay, so a couple other things I wanted to talk through is just about like that. Those are kind of the ins and outs of what to do with a preferred customer account. But I wanted to talk through how I care for my customers. So once you place their order, and I will post those information emails, like what do I send when somebody wants information on Soothe? What do I send when somebody wants information on Blemish? And then you guys can just basically copy and paste, make it your own. Make sure you put your own link. Don't link to my website, but put your own information in there. And then what I do after I place an order is, you might want to make myself a checklist for every preferred customer, just so I kind of know what I've done when. But after I place their order, I immediately follow up with an email from me. They're going to get one from Rodan and Fields, but some of the wording, we were looking at it today, and some of the wording is scary. It's like, you're going to get this next shipment in 60 days and da, 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 and I'm like, I want my customers to know it's way more flexible and that I'm in control of their account. And so I send typically an email, and I will post this this week, that says, thank you so much for your Rodan and Fields order. You have no idea how much my customers bless my family, whatever you want to say in the beginning. And then I always tell them your total was whatever the breakdown of that is, and I show them what the subtotal is, the preferred customer fee, and then tax, and then their total. Just because sometimes the total comes back and they're like, whoa, that was a lot more than I thought. But if you break it down, they'll be like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. And then I'll say, your regimen is going to come with a form or with a booklet that tells you how to ease into your product. Please follow that so that your skin has time to get used to it. And then I have instructions, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, of how to make your product last the longest. Because I like to acknowledge that, like, hey, I know you just spent a lot of money on this, and I want you to be happy, and I want your product. I'm not going to try to be getting you to reorder in 2 months, because I want your product to last as long as possible. Same thing I do with myself. And so I have a whole section that is ways to make your product last as long as possible. And then, of course, encourage them to take a before and after picture and how to reach me if they have any questions. And then I always kind of close with, your refill date is, your next opportunity for refill date is whatever. But you can order should you need anything at any time, contact me and I can order. And, you should be hearing from me in 50 days or whatever. So that's my first follow-up with them, is that email. I do think that handwritten thank you notes, there's also just something to be said about handwritten thank you notes. I think that's become a lost art over this technology world. And so a quick handwritten thank you note, if they have ordered something particularly huge, like an Amp It Up bundle or something where they've spent a lot of money, then sometimes I will include, if I have mini eye creams on hand, I will include a mini eye cream and say, I just want you to know how much I appreciate your order. Take this as a gift. And then secretly you're hoping they get hooked on eye cream, so they order that in the future. Or I'll do a little tiny container of like 5 lip serums or something like that, but just something to kind of say like an extra thanks. If you think they're somebody that's like super widely connected, include a mini facial in that and say, I'd love for you to share this with your mom or your friend or someone that you think might also like these products. So you can also use that thank you note as an opportunity to sort of reach out further. So that's your first kind of follow up with them. In about a week, you need to check in and make sure they got the products. Was the box damaged? Was everything in there? Everyone thinks that when they get the reverse, everyone thinks they don't get everything because that one box has reversed the 2 tubes in it. So I always get calls and texts about that. But just did you get your product? Do you feel like you know how to use it? Do you have any questions? Again, the older generation, they want me to talk them through. Even though I sent the email, I'm like, you can print it out and tape it to your mirror of my instructions. Some of them want to hear it. So when they get the regimen, they want you to call them and talk them through what each step is. And then let them have a few weeks of using it, and you might check in one more time around the month mark and just say, how's everything going? Is your skin responding? Did you remember to take your before picture? That kind of thing. And then the next time you want to check in, you want to beat the corporate email. So the corporate email is going to go out to them 10 days before they auto ship, which you're not going to say auto ship, but 10 days before their auto ship, the corporate email goes out. Okay. And you want to beat that. No, I'm sorry. Is it 5 days? 5 days. The corporate email goes out 5 days ahead of time. You want to beat that email. Okay. And so I try to mark in my calendar, my follow-up stuff, I try to mark it 10 days out. So 10 to 7 days before their auto ship date, you want to be following up with them and saying, hey, you're ready. And this is my language that I use. Hey, you have a free shipment date coming up. Do you need any refills? So don't use auto ship or anything like that. I just say you've got free shipping date coming up. Do you need any refills? If not, I'm happy to delay your account, just so they don't freak out and feel like they're obligated to order again. I'm probably too lax about this. Like, I'm probably like, you don't have to reorder if you don't want to, but I do feel like people truly appreciate that I'm not always after the bottom dollar. Okay. So if you don't need anything, I'll be happy to delay. And I feel like then people kind of have the freedom to say, I don't, please delay. A couple of other things that I do that are kind of nice for your preferred customers is I do a gift once a year. These are just ideas of things that worked for me, nothing that you have to do. Some people do birthdays, and so when their preferred customer have a birthday, they send a card with a small gift. I do a gift at Thanksgiving, and so every Thanksgiving I should have brought it in here for y'all. I print up a little like poem or a little note, real cutesy, and I have it printed. It's like a little 3x5 note card just about my thankfulness for my loyal customers. And I try to look back and like who has ordered at least 3 times this year or something like that. The first year, I'm trying to think of what I sent them the first year. I can't remember, but this past year I sent them headbands. So like those like cotton elastic headbands that hold your hair out of your face. And it said, I heart RNF. I got them made on Etsy, super cheap. It was probably $1 or $2 a piece. But I stuck that card in there and sent those out. And I felt like that makes a big impression on them, just knowing that you appreciate them that much. And then a lot of people do a referral program where they'll say, if you refer so many people that become a preferred customer, you get a free eye cream, or you can be super creative with this and come up with it however you want. Come up with ways to kind of incentivize your people. I think that's about it. Making sure my notes. I went over ad hoc order, managing accounts. Does everyone feel like they kind of know when they get into their preferred customer accounts how to manage it, how to delay it? Or if you have an order coming up, like let's say you texted somebody and they're like, oh yeah, I need my face wash and my eye cream this time. You would not shop now. You would log into their account. And then you would go under my account and under edit order. And then that's where you would just take out what's in their cart and put what you want in their cart so that the right thing will ship when the date comes up. All right. Any other questions? Anybody want to unmute and ask any other questions? I'm sorry. I know that was long tonight. It was a ton of information. Okay. Well, If y'all think of stuff, sorry, is there a question? I see somebody lighting up.
I have one actually. So if you had people sign up as a PC at a BBL and they did their own password and username, can you still edit their order on the Impulse on the back end, or did they have to log in to do it?
Okay, that's a great question. Yeah, I have 2 people that signed up with their own password that I don't have access to their password. I think you have a couple different options. If you're not one of those people that really wants to manage all your customers' accounts and keep up with it, I would still make a note in your calendar or whatever to beat that corporate email and just say, and this is what I do for the 2 girls that manage their own account, is I text them and I just say, hey, reminder, you've got a free shipment date coming up on the 20th. You don't forget to get in and either edit your cart or delay your account. So they know they have those 2 options. So you can either just make sure that you're reminding them every time to get in and do that, and make sure they know do you know what you're doing? Do you need help? Or if you would be more comfortable with me managing your account, I'll just need your password.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. Anybody else think of any other ones?
I have a quick question, Molly.
Yeah.
What do you say? I had a girl like 2 months ago order a ton of stuff, and she hasn't touched it at all yet. I mean, she ordered I think it was the whole Redefine system. She ordered the eye cream, the microdermabrasion paste. I mean, she had like a really nice order, and she's like, it's sitting in my drawer. I'm waiting to use all my other products. And I'm like, what are you doing? I was like, it's just sitting there. I appreciated it at the time because that definitely hit my 600 bucks with her order and one small other one. It was that big. But how do you encourage them to try it? Like what language could I use? Because she ordered this in March. Okay. No, April. She ordered this in April and still has yet to use.
One thing I've done, I just did this recently, and I want to be careful with it, but they do have an expiration date. And so I think it's okay to kind of say, hey, so-and-so, I just wanted to remind you that our products do have an expiration date, and I would hate for you to start using them when they've become inactive or something like that. So maybe she'll feel just a little bit of pressure to kind of start up. And then the other thing, I was giving some of McKenna's people this suggestion today, is I always get that response of like, I can't do 5 steps at night, or that's too much, I'm too tired, or like people keep telling me when I check in with them, how's it going? How's your skin doing? I'm so tired at night, I never get it done. And so my suggestion for that is do it the minute you walk in the door after work. I mean, it's my very first thing. I come back to my room, I put pajamas on, get out of my work clothes, and I wash my face before I even start dinner. And so that way, if you do dinner and then you do bath time and then you sit down to snuggle with your kid, it's not getting done. I mean, you're just so exhausted. And so if you can help people practically think through, when am I going to fit this into my evening routine? I think that helps people. But the only thing I can think to encourage them to keep using it is just like, oh, girl, you don't know what you're missing out on. Your skin, you could be 3 months into better skin, but I do want to warn you against that expiration date that the, products may go inactive or something. Anybody else?
I just wanted to know if we had homework.
Oh, I forgot. Yes. Okay. So I think the homework that I'll do for this week is I'm going to have y'all I don't know how I'll lay this out for us, but I'm going to have y'all look through all the emails that I'm going to post and kind of make them your own, like put your own greeting or whatever you want to do with that. And those will be the follow-up emails. So those are going to be the emails that you send after you get an order. That's like, thanks so much for your order, whatever. And then I think I'll have y'all make a little checklist of what you're going to do to care for each preferred customer. So, every time I get a preferred customer, my checklist is, put the order in, follow up with the thank you email, follow up with the handwritten, and then I look ahead in my calendar, follow up at 1 week, make sure they got the products, follow up at 3 weeks, make sure there's no reaction, so just kind of make yourself a little checklist of how you're going to kind of touch base and, care for your customers, I guess. It's good for your list, OCD.
Nerd.
Yep. Love it. All right. I've kept y'all exactly an hour and 2 minutes. So thanks for hanging with me tonight. I will start posting some info, and I'll do a drawing for last week's homework too. But hopefully this was super helpful. And I'll also post the training call that is just product if y'all want to go back and listen to that. So I'll probably be posting lots of stuff this week, but I'll have a place for us to report our homework. All right.
That sounds good. Thanks, Molly. Good
Everybody.
night, girls.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.